If you're not scaling up your AI agency, the truth is you probably suck at sales. So in this video, we're going to give you the full framework, all the objection handling, all the discovery questions in order to close 40% of all your sales calls. So number one is mastering sales will not only lead you to a generational run in your AI business, but it'll also affect all your interpersonal relationships. So you learn to read people, impacting your business, relationships, dating, essentially everything in your life. So pull out a notebook, get your coffee ready, come in without an ego, let's dive in. So let's first understand the psychology of sales. There's the current state, there's the identity shift, and there's also the desired state. So in your current state, to bridge the gap between current state and identity shift, you need to discover pain. So how do we actually do this? We do this by asking questions. And from identity shift to the desired future state, we need to bridge the gap between what they're kind of doing right now versus where they could be if they did X, Y, Z. So what are these type of questions and how do we actually format all of this? So number one, the current state is what have they actually done in the past and what they're currently doing, why not just double down on what's working? And then consequential questions on what happens if they don't change. The identity shift is what are their biggest competitors doing? And to think like that roofer, to think that like that XYZ, doing XYZ per year. And has this thought process prevented them from achieving XYZ in the past in any way? And the desired state is essentially what happens to their business if they weren't able to resolve XYZ AI automation. And what would they do with the time on hand if they were able to solve this XYZ problem? What would they do for their personal life? What would they do for their family life, interpersonal relationships? And then the end goal of why they actually want to do this. So you could have this automation in your business, but what is the actual end goal? Do you want to exit one day? Do you want to just hire less staff? Do you just want to have more time for yourself and your family? What is the actual end goal? And we need to bridge that gap between, hey, getting this XYZ automation will lead to XYZ down the line for their family and for their future. And the biggest thing here is you need to activate enough action threshold. So if you don't go beyond the threshold, you're probably going to get all these objections related to, I need to think about it. Let me talk to my wife. Let me talk to my spouse. You're not going to have a burning desire for a client to come in and sign on because they haven't felt like they needed to. And the main goal of a sales call, why do we even have sales calls, right? Is to build conviction in the prospect, to understand their problems. It's a dynamic funnel. In reality, if you didn't need a sales call, right, you could just send them directly to your cart and have them check out. But the main purpose of a sales call is not the demo, it's to identify their problems, see how we could solve it. If it's not a good fit, we're not going to move forward. But get them to realize that because they don't have this XYZ AI automation, that's why they're working in the business instead of on the business, right? So that's the main goal of a sales call. You want to be a therapist and not just a sales guy, right? Because nobody likes sales guys. So all of this leads to exceeding the action threshold needed to instill change. If your prospect is not convinced that they need a change or that their current situation isn't painful enough, the action threshold will not be reached. And then the client will not close. So you need to reach the action threshold necessary in every single call, and you'll be closing at a lot higher percentage. So one big thing that people talk about in terms of sales is rapport. So what is rapport and how do we activate rapport in a sales conversation? So being from the same city or liking the same football team does not build rapport. Rapport is built through the frame of being authority in the space. You're there to challenge your prospects' prior beliefs and showcasing you as the light at the end of the tunnel. As one thing, in the FBI, a lot of people say, hey, the person that's asking the questions is in control of the call. So keep the small talk minimal. You're there to close and not to make friends. Once they're your client, you could be their best friend, but until then, you're there to solve a problem, right? It's a very professional relationship where if they have a problem, we're going to do any way possible to help them identify a solution to solve their problem. And your goal is to provide them with value and basically bridging the gap of where they are versus where they want to go. And you only have 30 minutes to 1 hour to close them. So essentially the small talk also eats up time, which causes you to overrun in overtime into the next call if you have back-to-back calls. So keep the small talk minimal. Focus on a professional relationship. In the first 1 to 2 minutes, you could definitely do some small talk, where you're from, and just cut straight to the chase on why they're on the call and do the problem solving and be that therapist that they want. And the next thing before I kind of get into the discovery questions and also objection handling, how you should structure the pitch is tonality. So there's a couple of tonality that you need to master, and you're going to master it just by being on a lot of sales calls and just understanding how people talk. But coming from an introverted software engineer, I didn't really talk to people on a day-by-day basis. I was mostly just in front of my computer coding. So I never really understood this tonality. So there's 5 different tonalities that you have. To be honest, a lot of them are kind of mixed in between. So number 1 tonality is the conviction tonality. So whenever this tonality is used, it's more so used towards the end of a call. So we can get you to 20 mil a month. So we can get you to $1 million a year, right? So the word can, strong emphasis on can, and that's the conviction tonality. Next thing is the curious tonality. So I guess on your side, like what were you hoping to get your business to in the next 6 months or so, right? It's just basically asking a question, have a curious tonality to it, and then confused tonality. So every time that your prospect gives you a vague answer, says that market agency wasn't great, right? Great? What do you mean by great? Or that market agency was very bad. Bad? What do you mean by bad? Right? Every single question, if they don't go in deeper, you have to identify what they actually mean by XYZ, because they could just keep giving you points on why they were bad. Hey, they didn't give you enough reporting. The marketing service was great, but I felt like I wasn't in communication with the founder, right? So all these things that we could basically use in our pitch to basically pitch them why we're better. And challenging tonality. So whenever they say something that's bad or they're currently stuck at XYZ, basically you should challenge their beliefs. It's like, is that something you actually want in your business? Is this something you actually want in your personal life? Because like you spend so much time on the accounting side, like what would happen if you were able to, I guess, automate all of this? What would that do for you, right? And then the concern tonality, very similar to the challenging tonality. It's like, I guess like on my side, like what's really holding you back from that 20 mil per month, right? So all these tonalities, I would say curious, confused, challenging, concerned is all kind of similar tonalities. It really depends on your context of the situation where you use them. And then conviction tonality, you use this in the closing. So you can build conviction in your prospects, and you should never use certain words in the closing. So next thing is basically listen to how your prospect says things and not what they actually say. So vague answers are basically your sign to dive deeper. So for example, if they say market agency was bad that they worked with in the past, you have to dive in deeper. What does bad actually mean for them? And then if there's any uncertainty, don't move in for the close. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get all the objections known to mankind. You really need to loop back on why they don't think your service, your AI automation can get them to XYZ before you even pitch them the price. And one basic analogy I could use is, let's say you have a Latina girlfriend, right? So whenever she says she's fine, she's probably not fine. It really depends on her tonality and the context of the situation, right? So you really need to identify that and just kind of dive deeper, because how people say things all the time, but it's like, what is the actual meaning behind what they say things with? Next small thing is basically appearance. So professional background, no virtual backgrounds, be fit, be groomed, be dressed professionally, right? Shave the beard, look very, very clean and professional in your sales calls. Because number one thing is people judge based on appearances and first impressions. Once you have a bad first impression, you've already lost. So pretend you're on a first date with your prospect and show up at your best, right? Make sure that everything in your life, fitness, everything, being dressed nice is all covered before you hop on these sales calls. Even if you're still working on it, right? You have to present professionally, have a nice shirt on, and then be very present in the sales call. So now let's actually talk about how you actually structure a sales call. I know we talked about a lot of appearance, tonality. We talked a lot about what the psychology of sales is, but let's go into the more tactical knowledge. So start of the call, brief intros, keep it short, simple. Don't spend more than 5 minutes. And then simple small talk, make sure that their camera is turned on and situated with 100% attention. If they're driving or they're moving around, we want to make sure that they're actually situated, fully present on the call, so we can actually identify their problems. And then you just jump straight into the call. So in the call, there's going to be 3 different things that we need to tackle in the discovery phase. So it's the past, the present, and the future. So let's first go into the past. Generally, how I start the call is like, give me a general overview of your business at the moment, and we could take it from there. All right. So you want to collect as much broad information as possible in the beginning. Then we can dive deeper into every single pain point, what they tried in the past, what's their end desired state, and then why not doubling down on the current moment, right? So really, you really just need the repetitions of being on a lot of sales calls to really understand the flow. But the general gist is go very broad to kind of understand and see what sides you want to kind of go in deeper with. And then we start going deeper and deeper, and then consequential questions. So first, let's talk about the past. So get them to say why XYZ they tried in the past didn't work out. To get them to say if XYZ they tried in the past led them to their current situation. So what have you tried in the past in terms of trying to solve XYZ? And I guess what happened with those? In those XYZ, did you see competitors online succeeding around you? And what do you think kind of differentiates you from those type of businesses that were doing XYZ, right? And then another one, like these are just example discovery questions, right? It really tailors to your situation. But what do you think you felt like was missing or prevented you from achieving the success you were hoping to see when you did try XYZ in the past? And have you done anything since then? And what prevented you from doing anything since then, right? Was it fear, was it uncertainty, or was it you just haven't found the right partner or agency? And have you considered that potentially getting some outside help might have furthered the process of getting more results? So that's all in the past. So these are just example questions, but you really just need to dive in deeper on what they've tried in the past, why it didn't work out, and if the past they tried led them to their current situation. So now let's get into the present moment. So we really need to get them to go in very deep why what they're currently doing is not getting them to XYZ. And what's the consequence of them being in the present moment, not doing anything to change? So usually I go very broad in the beginning. So give me a general gist of your current situation, where you're currently at with the business so far, where you're currently at with the roofing company so far. And then what are you currently doing in terms of generating leads for your XYZ? Granted, this is more so towards like a lead gen agency, or it's more so towards like AI automation that generates leads for the business. So we have to tailor it to whatever service you're selling. And I guess why not just like double down since it's already working? So let's say they have an accountant or they have a front desk person. So why not just, I guess, like give her more calls that you already have for her to handle it, right? And then they're going to give some objection. Hey, like this person is not great, doesn't pick up the phone. And that's what we could use as ammo in the pitch. And what do you feel like you're currently doing or not doing that's kind of preventing you from hitting that $1 million per month in your business? And what kind of makes you want to look into additional help on that front instead of just, I guess, keep doing what you're doing or doing all in-house at the moment? And what do you feel like you've lost in terms of revenue or time because you're still doing that XYZ problem? And what do you feel like you could have been at if we did solve that lead generation issue, if we did solve that front desk issue, if we were able to call all the leads that come in immediately? What do you think you'll be at in terms of your business? And then how much better, like, I guess, monetary wise, like how much better would it be if you were able to solve this? And what do you feel like from us you need in order to actually get you to $1 million per month? Who are you actually looking to partner with in order to actually get you to $1 million per month? What qualities are you actually looking for in a partner to get you to $1 million per month? Right? All of those are variations of the same question, but the general gist is you have to dive in deep and actually find what they actually want in their business and in a partner, so we can partner with them and we could basically pitch them in the pitch section. So future state, basically get them to reveal their future goal and what that would do for them personally. It really depends on the type of prospect, but generally this is a pretty safe way to go about the future state. So what is your goal 6 months or 12 months down the line? And then if they say $1 million per month, why that number specifically? Just to see, just curious on my end. And then what would that mean for, I guess, your life? Because I know right now you're kind of struggling with the person not picking up the phone in the front desk. Like, what would that mean for your business if you were able to solve that problem, right? Don't just go word for word. You have to add context to the situation depending on what they told you in the past. So that really gets them to really open up, and you're a therapist, not a salesman, right? So don't go off a script. You have to just be very versatile in your prospecting questions. And how important is it for you to actually hit $1 million per month? And but why though? Like, what is like the main goal of hitting that $1 million per month? What's the end goal with the business, right? Was it whether it's like exit to PE, whether it's to pass something down to their kids, whether it's so they have more time freedom, they could travel, whatever. We need to figure out why they could do that. And the main thing with like this is in the pitch, we have to keep reiterating their goals back to them. So you can get to XYZ. So you can retire your parents. So you can have something to pass down to your kids, right? So those are the main prospecting questions. Next thing, we're going to get into the pitch. So in the pitch, basically all the ammo that we collected in the prospecting questions, what they're actually looking to see in an agency or partner, we're going to use that for them. And also their future state on why they want to get to XYZ, and also their past. Hey, like with the other marketing agency, you did XYZ. With other AI automation agency, you did XYZ, but you weren't getting like the reports that you were kind of hoping for. And on our side, we do XYZ. All right, so keep it very, very simple. Third grader vocabulary and no technical jargon. Sell the destination, not the journey. Because if you sell the journey, let's say we sell a flight ticket. One big analogy from Hormozi is, let's say I sell you a vacation to Maui. The main thing with the prospect's mind is they think about being on a beach in Maui. Instead, if you're selling the journey, the exact technicals, some people, they like the technicals, but for the most part, you have to focus on the end destination. But let's say I sell you that flight. And what happens is I tell you, hey, you have to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to airport. At the airport, your luggage might be lost. And then it's a 10-hour flight from wherever you are to Maui. You're going to be jet lagged a little bit. You're going to be thirsty. The airplane food is not that great, but then you'll be in Maui versus just kind of selling the actual being on the beach at Maui. That's what's actually very captivating, right? You're going to handle all the technical stuff in terms of setting up, whether it's like a CRM integration, whether it's any other integrations into your businesses. So you don't really have to worry about how you're going to set everything up unless they really have questions about that or they have a main concern that will stop them from closing. But in reality, you just need to sell them, hey, we have an AI receptionist, so you don't have to worry about Molly at the front desk not picking up your calls. Every single call will be automatically picked up, booked directly onto your calendar. So you don't have to have Molly one day, or that Molly would be able to see how effective this AI receptionist is and then pick up the slack. So now let's talk about the pre-close. So what questions do you have for me instead of do you have any questions? What questions do you have for me? We'll get them to reveal any questions that they would think about the questions they have and send it back to you. And then temperature check. So scale 1 to 10 with 1 being, I want to get off this phone right now. I don't want your services versus 10 where I'm like all in on how this can solve XYZ. So I can get to XYZ. Where are you currently at on the scale? Just curious on my end. And if it's not a 10, clarify why it's not a 10. Just curious on my end, like what would take that to a 10 for you? Do not move on from this step. We need to pre-handle all of the objections that might come up. So if they're not 8, 9, or 10, right? Even if it's an 8, I'll try to get the main reason why it's not a 10 for them. You have to handle all the objections before you get to the close, or else they're just going to give you the I need to think about it objection. So the close, basically say the price and then stay silent. Too many people ramble on in the close. In reality, sometimes a prospect just thinks about it for 30 seconds and they say, let's move forward. So always go for the one call close. However, do not neglect follow-ups and remember that you'll basically have to sell them again if you don't close on that one call. Basically all the rapport that we built up, all of the pain points that we built up, all the solutions that we built up whenever we pitch, we'll probably have to do it all over again if you don't close on that one call, because they might have other calls with other agencies and you're not going to be able to be remembered unless you close on that one call. Say the price, stay silent, and get them to talk first. And let's talk about more technicals of the close. So the tonality during the close, 100% conviction. Don't use unsure words like probably, could, should, might, if. Use strong conviction words like can, do. So whenever you do move forward with our solution, I guess like right now, like what's that one thing that's kind of holding you back? So we can get you to XYZ per month. So you should never do like, yeah, you should probably like whenever should you move forward, whenever you might move forward, right? Just say whenever you do move forward, right? It really builds conviction in your prospect's mind and also in your mind, right? As well, right? Just be confident during the close, use strong conviction words. And these are the examples, right? So for example, if you move forward, right, that's not very strong conviction. When you do move forward, so that's very strong conviction. Do you believe 100% this can get you to XYZ versus do you think this might get you to XYZ? Do you think this can get you to XYZ? So for objection handling, there's only 3 real objections: money, fear, logistics. Everything else is a smokescreen. Even when it comes to money, fear, logistics is probably 1% of the time, right? It's not really going to be a logistical objection. It's mostly going to be related to money or fear. So how do we really battle through these objections? First thing, you have to realize that all of these objections are smokescreens. So you have to get down to the actual objection of why they're not willing to move forward. So there's a bunch of objections that I have listed here, right? I need to think about it. I need to talk to my spouse, money objection. I have a lot of calls lined up. I'm already working with XYZ on XYZ. Now's not a good time. So let's just tackle all of this. I need to think about it. So whenever you do go think about it, what's that one thing that's kind of, I guess, keeping you up at night that would keep you from moving forward, right? Or money aside, would you actually do it? Like, do you think this can get you to XYZ, right? Because most of the time you could just shortcut it. It's mostly like a money objection. Might be fear, but I would say 80% of the time it might just be the money up front. And yeah, that's how I usually make decisions, identity shift. Right, so totally understand. Is it fair to say that if we always make decisions like this, it might potentially keep us from going where we want to go, right? Just really challenge your prospects' beliefs on because they make decisions like this, it's currently keeping them in the current moment. But in reality, in order to grow in business, you have to do uncomfortable things. You have to be able to hire that team player, have to be able to take that risk, because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. And I understand that that's how we usually make decisions, but would you agree that something will have to change if we want to get to where we want to go into that XYZ per month mark? And would you agree that if we keep doing the same thing, it would lead to the result? In order to become that entrepreneur that's making that $1 million per month, do you think they make comfortable or uncomfortable decisions? Uncomfortable, right? Because for the most part, where you're currently at with everything that you do, it's probably going to continue like that if we don't do anything to change about our business. Would you agree? Yes. So in order to actually accomplish that $1 million per month, like what do you actually need to do in this current situation in order to actually get there? Because I know that you mentioned that you've been stuck in trying to do this for the past 3 or 6 months. And like, what would happen if another 3 or 6 months goes by and we haven't done anything to address this? And is that something that you would want? So our next 3 or 6 months don't look the same as the past 3 or 6 months. Like, what do you need to do right here, right now? Right. So really get them to boil down, and then maybe they'll be like, hey, it's just the money, right? Then we handle the money objection. But we really need to do that identity shift in the prospect's mind that if they don't do anything, nothing's going to change about the business. The universe doesn't work that way. You have to do something. You have to put enough inputs, then you get the outputs. If we don't get the outputs that we want, we just put in more input. So the whole thing is just being a therapist for your prospects and just identifying that in the current moment. Next thing, I need to talk to my spouse. I need to talk to my partner. Spouse aside, partner side, do you believe this can get you to XYZ and where you want to go? Oh, yeah, it can. So whenever you do talk to your spouse, what do you think is that one thing that would, I guess, keep them from telling you to move forward? And then is your wife going out to a job site and also working for a company as well? This is more so to collect logistical, right? Is her wife actually a business partner, or is her wife just like supporting him in the business? And this is more so towards like male business owners, right? Because you can really attack the ego and really call out their ego, right? Because most men want to be that breadwinner of the family. They want to take care of their family, right? They're willing to sacrifice whatever to make sure that their family and their kids have a better life. And is it fair to put that responsibility on your wife when you're actually the person that would be in charge of growing the business to $1 million per month? And with the business partner objection, it's kind of the same way, but you don't really ask questions like this, like, is it fair to put that responsibility on your business partner? But however, there's going to be situations where, let's say one business partner is responsible for going out to job site, one business partner is more responsible for operations, and the person you talk with that's responsible for operations, you could basically do the same way. It's like, is it fair to put that responsibility on your business partner when in reality, you're the person that's kind of in charge of the operation and day by day whenever your business partner goes out to a job site? And you guys have been wanting to get this for the past 3 or 6 months, get this problem fixed. Is it fair to put that responsibility on him when you're the person that's kind of in charge of doing this, right? So all of this is related to spouse objection, right? So this is mostly tackling the ego of men wanting to provide. However, if it's a business partner, you have to tailor it a little bit differently. So money objection. Money aside, do you believe what we do here can get you to $1 million per month? And is the main issue the amount of cash we have on hand, or is it anything else? Just to see if I can help, because that's the main thing. We could totally create a plan so we can get you started, so we can get you to XYZ per month. But is that the main thing holding you back? Just not having the cash on hand? Yeah, I could totally help you out with the investment if you're 100% in, but if money is the main thing holding you back, I don't want that to be the thing holding you back. But what I can't do for you is like actually being willing and wanting to change so you can get to $1 million per month, right? I could do everything, all the systems that we have. I can sell you all the AI automations that can get you to $1 million per month. But what I can't do for you is actually committing to the process, right? So that's like a call out and getting them to buy in. And so you're 100% in, so we can get you to where you want to go, money aside. And then cash on hand, how much do you currently have so we can get this XYZ problem solved? And so you can get to XYZ per month. So that's more so like a logistical thing. Hey, we can do payment plans, whatever, financing, stuff like that. All of this will be more so logistics. Next thing is, this is probably gonna happen a lot in AI agency. Like I have other calls lined up this week. What you really need to say is totally understand. And I guess, do you believe what we do here can get you to XYZ per month? Or how do you feel? How do you feel is more so decrease the sales resistance. One big thing is you don't want to ask hard-hitting questions without decreasing sales resistance, right? And it's also really matter about your tonality as well. So what were you hoping other people that you have calls scheduled with next week would tell you on the call that we haven't covered today. And truth is, like, dude, if I was happily married with my wife, I wouldn't be in the club looking for other people, right? So like, what is that one thing that's kind of holding you back that we haven't discussed in this call that would make you move forward with another agency, right? So really get the buy-in and also identify the smoke screen on why they would move forward. Most of the time it might be like money. Hey, I just want to see what they say. If they're cheaper. So one thing is like, hey, do you want the cheaper option or do you actually want a product that can get you where you want to go? And do you believe our product can get you to that $1 million per month? Yes or no, right? It's just like that looping with the objection handling all over again. And then this one, hey, I'm already working with XYZ agency. Totally understand, but do you believe everything that we do here can get you to XYZ per month? Or how do you feel, right? All of these, the first thing is always the same thing. Even with the money objection, hey, money aside, do you believe what we do here can get you to XYZ? Hey, spouse aside, do you believe what we do here can get you to XYZ? Or how do you feel? Right? All of it, you could kind of do the same. Just practice and just drill that in. So the club analogy I like to use here as well. So if I was happily married with my wife, I wouldn't be in the club kind of looking for others. So what's that one thing that kind of enticed you to jump on this call today that the other marketing company or other AI agency company wasn't providing you? Getting them to really buy in. To be honest, this should be discovered in the discovery call, but let's say we missed it. We have to do it in the close. And then of course it's going to be money or fear. Now it's not a good time. Totally understand. I'm gonna say it one more time. Like, I guess, do you believe what we do here can get you to XYZ per month, right? It's the same first initial step to really just reveal that they're 100% bought in. Number one thing is if they're 100% bought in and money is the main issue, we could always solve that problem. But if they're not 100% bought in, what really happened is in the discovery, you didn't handle it well enough, get them to buy in, or in the pitch, you didn't pitch your service well enough. So if they're not 100% bought in, you did something wrong in the previous sales process that you kind of have to recover from, but it's going to be an uphill battle. But most of the time, if you really handle the discovery and the pitch, you're not going to get, oh, I don't believe this can get me to XYZ, right? So things in life and business, we put priorities on everything. Elon Musk has 24 hours per day. I have 24 hours per day. You have 24 hours per day. How big of a priority is this for you to actually hit 100K per month? And if it's such a big priority for you, what actions have you taken or not taken towards achieving XYZ? How much of a priority has that taken in your life so you can't hit the goals that you want to hit? And why have you not put a priority on this, since it does make sense that it's pretty important to you, or it sounds like that? And that pretty much covers all of the objection handling, all of the discovery, the tonality, the pre-close, the pitch, and all the psychology of sales. So at this point, if you covered to the end of this video, not a lot of people probably watched to the end, and they're probably going to be stuck at not closing the highest percentage. But with everything, I have a one-on-one program where we basically just give you all of our templates, how to actually acquire clients, how to acquire leads, book sales calls in, how to actually close these sales calls. Like, we'll do call reviews for you if you're not closing at that 20-40% mark. And then we're going to help you out throughout the entire process. We also help you out with the AI fulfillment side. So if you're interested, go ahead and click a link in the description. You could book a call with one of my growth members and we could see if we're a right fit. So I hope you got some value out of this video, and I'll catch you in the next video. I hope that you close some deals because of this video. Catch you later.